What a great privilege to be here. I feel like a rock star, so I'm just going to send out some shout-outs to my people back home in Tremblin House and my colleague Frederikke. And thanks for being here still. It's at the end of the day and we're pretty exhausted, but I'm going to make this quick. In my talk, I'm going to present two migration-engaged projects that I'm currently working on. The first is the Tremblin House project, which is a user-driven refugee justice community center located in Copenhagen that I was part of establishing in 2009. The second project is CAMP, a non-profit exhibition space for art engaging questions of displacement, migration, immigration, and asylum that me and my colleague Frederikke Hansen will open inside Tremblin House in February 2015. Briefly about myself, I'm an independent activist, curator, and educator based in Copenhagen. I use curating to address the root causes of social, economic, and environmental inequities, and projects and exhibitions to present other ways of organizing the world. My practice is based in a firm belief in the ability of artistic and curatorial work to present other ways of organizing the world and contribute to social and political transformation. The Tremblin House and camp projects both take their starting point in the fact that more people than ever before are displaced from their homes because of climate disasters, war, conflict, exploitation, persecution, and poverty. Most receiving countries have responded by increasing their border controls, tightened their immigration policies, incarcerate refugees and asylum seekers in camps, and deporting people by force without residence permit. These large migratory and refugee flows have resulted in a whole migration management industries, juridical and political technologies and procedures designed for nation states to try to regulate transnational human migration and to exclude unwanted immigrants. In Denmark, which has a population of roughly 5.5 million people, there are currently between 20,000 and 40,000 undocumented migrants residing in the country without being registered. Many of them live a precarious life as homeless in the streets. In Denmark, there are also currently 7,900 asylum seekers waiting in remote asylum centers like this for their application to be processed or for their deportation to be settled. There, the Danish state provides them with a bed, clothes, a little pocket money every 2 weeks, cafeteria food 3 times a day, and different so-called activation programs. In 2013, the average waiting time for an asylum seeker in the Danish centers was 1.5 years. That included 727 asylum seekers who had waited more than 3 years and 29 who had waited more than 15 years in the center. Only a few asylum seekers every year meet the requirements of the Danish Immigration Service to be allowed to work or find accommodation outside of the centers. The majority don't. They remain in the centers day in, day out, month after month, year after year, waiting for a resolution to their case and growing ill from the pacification that this system brings onto them and the loss of power to control their own lives. Following the writings of Giorgio Agamben on the figure of the refugee and the structure of the camp, Danish theorist Mikkel Bolt, hey Mikkel, has described the Danish asylum centers as literal camps, each of them making up an architectural manifestation of Danish state racism designed to keep the so-called undesirables on the outside. Tremblin House was formed in reaction to this racist system. During a series of workshops titled the Asylum Dialogue Tank, very similar to what the Ghana think tank has been doing. Artist Morten Gold, Joachim Hamou, and myself invited asylum center residents to help explain what is wrong with the Danish asylum system and what could be done to improve it, together with a group of socially engaged artists. Together, all the workshop participants developed the idea to create a user-driven community center where refugees, asylum seekers, forced migrants, Danish citizens, and other residents of Denmark could meet, engage in activities together, and exchange knowledge. A house that should work to break the social isolation of refugees, asylum seekers, and forced migrants in Denmark, and through legal counseling, education, and community, provide these precarious groups in Denmark with information and tools needed for them to take charge of their own life and better their life situation. A house that should inform the Danish publics about the conditions of refugees, asylum seekers, and undocumented migrants in Denmark in the hope to motivate them to change the system towards a more just, solidaristic, and sustainable refugee and asylum policy. And lastly, a house that should work to jumpstart the inclusion of new residents in Danish society and help them through Denmark's 3-year-long integration program. In November 2010, following a very tough period of fundraising and trying to keep the workshop group together, we finally raised enough funds to realize our concept, and on November 27th, 2010, Tremblin House opened to the public. The house is currently open 4 days a week and offers legal counseling, language classes, soup kitchen, a women's club, childcare, various workshops, debates, public hearings, and much more. It is financed with private and state funds and has approximately 350 visits a week, made up of a user body of 100 refugee users, approximately 30 non-refugee volunteers, and 4 employed staff members, me being one of them, acting as program and volunteer coordinator. This short video should give you a good impression of the house.
We are like in 3 weeks. This house is 1 year old, so we're going to have a birthday party. It is about 3 years ago that we got the idea to create a Trampoline House where people who live in the camps and Danes could meet and build something together.
There's no discrimination of social activities and social life. Life is just normal here. Everybody is equal.
And I got a haircut.
And I think that's what I hear from people in the Trampoline House, that they say they had a very bad and negative impression of Denmark until they heard about the Trampoline House. And that changed their situation in many ways, because it gave them the chance to work and to do something and to be talked to in respect and to be asked, what can you do? What are your resources? Is there something you want us to help you with, or can you do something for us?
I encourage more people to come to Stockholm House and participate in the various activities and be part and parcel of everything that's happening in the house.
Every Friday in this house we prove that it's possible, that this integration is not this big problem that the government told us. Actually, we feel that we have a model here which can be an example for the rest of the country.
So I have 15 seconds left to talk about the camp project. Well, Frederica and I, who make up the curatorial collective called Kuratorisk Aktion, will open a space specifically producing exhibitions on migration, displacement, and flight within 3 spaces in Tremblin House. Camp aims and struggles to increase insights of its audiences to life conditions of displaced people and to discuss the overall factors causing migration and displacement to begin with. I hope to see all of you at the opening of February 13th, 2015. Thank you so much for your attention.
I mean, it's so important, that work is so important, because, you know, we humans, we are social beings, human beings, and we really need to find ourselves in a social context. It's very important.
Thank
So
you.
thank you very much. Of course, I have a question for you.
Of course you do.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people who they don't manage to do this kind of things, even if they want to do it. So, because often they have to do with fear of getting attached to someone in need, and then reaching a point where they would have to stop helping. I mean, when can you stop and not judge yourself, you know? And how you moved beyond this kind of thinking that, yeah, help to an extent?
Well, I think it's very scary for art producers and curatorial producers to work on permanent projects, to commit to something permanent like the Tremblin House. But it really proved to be absolutely necessary if we wanted to do something meaningful, use art and curating to really help solve this problem. Permanency was the key. Asylum seekers, forced migrants and so forth in Denmark are sick and tired of artists coming in temporarily, doing a project inside the camps and moving again. What they want is a resolution to their application case. They want housing, and they want to be part of the society that they've moved to. And the key to that is really to engage and commit and make friendships and networks with them. This was also a really crucial tool to break the pacification, to invite asylum seekers out of this role of victimization and pacification in the camp, hand over a house that's ours, a joint house, my house, your house, our house, and provide agency, ownership, and self-empowerment to these people. Yeah. And now I'm just extremely privileged that the Tremblin House as a self-organized project sustains itself and is even able to pay my rent.
Yeah. And to be forced to be passive is not very good for anybody.
No.
No. Empowerment is good. Yeah. To be part of something is very good. And you're giving them that. And they are giving you a lot, I think. Yeah.
I think also it's very important to know that those users of Tremblin House who have a migrant or refugee background are the true experts on the main problems in the Danish asylum system. The asylum dialogue tank workshops were really designed to bring out their expert witnesses, expert testimonies, and from there enlighten us privileged to fight and join the struggle to change this system.
Thank you. I mean, it's very good work. Good luck and keep strong.
Thank you.